Hi, I'm Michaela,
And I'm Kira.
and we're the co hosts of Let's Ace It podcast.
This is a podcast where we talk all things pharmacy from key ideas to tea.
Okay, Kira, thanks for joining us here on this Wednesday. It's our first podcast, so it's really exciting and super interesting just to get into this new platform.
Yes, our very first podcast ever.
So, Kira, why do you think our podcast is named Let's Ace It?
Because it's a play on words, I feel like.
Hmm.
Because, like the ACE inhibitors and talking all things pharmacy school. So I guess this is just a podcast for our tips and tricks of how to survive.
Yeah, that's like kind of was like my main goal when I thought of like the name of the podcast. Like, let's ace it. Like, obviously, we want to try to get the best grades that we can throughout pharmacy school, but then also, like you said, the play on words as it being like an ACE inhibitor for like blood pressure medications. That was also just another idea and way to think about it.
Yes, Michaela is the creative director of all of this.
And Kira is here because I need her moral support in everything that I do. And she guides me and makes sure that I stay on top of everything.
Yeah, Michaela comes up with the ideas and I just follow, honestly.
I guess we'll like kind of get into it. We already went over like the name of our podcast, but we go to school in the Pacific Northwest, so
Hmm.
PNW girlies.
Yes, and we love it.
Right now it's like a heat wave. It's like 100 degrees. It's
Oh,
terrible.
no.
Yeah, PNW. And how did me and Kira like kind of like meet up and be friends? It
Oh,
all started
it was
on the
like first
first day.
first day.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole like process and idea of us became becoming friends started on the first day. 'Cause like
Oh,
we started out hanging out with like a group of people and then whittled down to just me and you.
yeah. I knew Michaela was gonna be my forever friend when like the first week she whispers over and she goes, I lost my Apple Pencil. I know
Wow.
it's week one.
My gosh, it didn't even feel like week one. It felt like the first day,
I
like
don't
the
even
actual first day of classes.
it might have been, honestly. Yeah.
But
But
that's fine. And then I also ended up losing my Apple Watch like within that like same term, I
that
think.
same term and then her wallet.
Okay.
And that's just like how I knew like this friendship was gonna be like
Yeah, I first your first year of pharmacy school, like you're a complete mess. Like you don't
no,
even know what you're getting into.
no, that's so true. Just and it was also very hard because I think that year we were like in and out of school because of COVID.
Yeah, that was such a weird nobody had any like solid rules on like what we were doing. Like nobody knew.
Yeah. And then it was like really difficult I in like my perspective to get back into making notes and actually having to study.
True. Yeah. You like came straight out of undergrad and went to pharmacy school.
Yeah, I did.
And like that year before pharmacy school, that was like all COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are your thoughts on taking a gap year versus going straight into pharmacy school from undergrad?
Well, my perspective, honestly, if I knew I wanted to go into pharmacy school like right after, like I would have totally been on board with that. Like no gap year, nothing. Just
Mhm.
because I want to get so much done so quickly. And I only took a gap year just because I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. So, but what do
Well,
you think?
well, you ended undergrad in 3 years, so technically, you're kind of like still on the same timeline as like a normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I honestly feel like I kind of wanted to do a gap year only because I feel like then it would have pushed me to take it more serious.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know the word right now, but I just feel like those who took a few years off are a little bit more motivated and wanting to finish, whereas I like came out right out of undergrad and I was a little bit younger
Hmm.
and I was just kind of going through the motions of like, okay, this is the next.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then also like the financial aspect. Like
Yes, exactly.
taking that gap year, like okay, especially working during the gap year of like COVID, you made a lot of money like during
Mhm.
that time.
Well, yeah, like going now, like in our P4 year, and by the way, yes, we're P4s. Going into our P4 year, where like we don't have much time to work, I feel like those that did take gap years are financially set up for this year
Hmm.
because I'm like assuming that their savings are well flourished from their gap years rather than like I could only work summers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my savings account has honestly been like my saving grace, especially during, like you said, during this fourth year. Like
Mhm.
some people are still working, but I decided to kind of take a leave of absence from work and kind of just take a break. But I mean, even if you are working, you still can't work like very much at all,
Yeah.
really. Like, what are you working right now?
Like literally every other Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's only because like the store I work at is overstaffed, I guess. So we can't give interns much hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's fine, but it's life. So that's some tips to work
Yeah.
as much as you can before this last year.
Especially, yeah. Even if you're like planning on taking a gap year, like take that gap year, build up your savings account, and then even during like the summers throughout pharmacy school and like even just trying to work as much as you can during pharmacy school
Mm-hmm.
is definitely our best tips. It'll get you through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, Michaela, why did we start this podcast?
Oh my goodness. I mean, like it's really resume booster to be honest.
Yeah, and honestly, well, Michaela and I have moved farther apart from each other, so this is like our little weekly meetup chit chat time.
Honestly, like I'm loving this right now. Like it, even though we're kind of talking about like our past and like things we've done, I just getting like 30 minutes or an hour just to talk and hang out with you is great.
No, seriously, it's much needed.
And then Kira, why did you want to do the podcast?
Well, I thought it was cute and fun, but also just to share other people, like our journey on getting here and how we got through it. Because honestly, I think we handled pharmacy school really well.
Yeah, honestly, I think I only cried like 3 or 4 times. So I think that that's honestly a plus.
Yeah, I think with like both of us, our mindset is like school's not everything, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's important to us to get good grades, but we have a whole other life that we take care of outside of school.
Yeah, I like that viewpoint and I think it's really important. I'm reading a self-help book right now and it's talking about having that idea of like work no play. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
obviously the wrong aspect and the wrong way to look at it. Like just having that playtime, or it doesn't even just have to be playing. It can be like hanging out with friends or
Yeah,
going on a walk or going on a hike.
or like just relaxing.
Yeah, just relaxing. That's honestly a big key part in my book too. Like the
Mm-hmm.
art of doing nothing. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I also wanted to start doing this podcast because like Kira says, I have this like creative side of me
She does.
that I feel like this is a great place for me to kind of just like explore and kind of put all of my creativity into.
Mm-hmm. She would be the girl in class that had colorful notes.
Gosh, let's not talk about my colorful notes.
I know, I loved it.
I'm like, I tell Kira that I have to start doing like colorful notes to keep me focused in class, but then I have my notes are too colorful that I can't go back and like actually focus on studying.
See, but that
So I
was
told,
like the roller coaster of P1 year. Like just figuring yourself out, like your
yeah.
study habits. But so you mentioned earlier that you kind of took a gap year because you didn't know what you wanted to do.
Mhm.
So like, why did you end up choosing pharmacy?
Well, I graduated from my undergrad and I was like really into like dentistry and
Mm-hmm.
kind of was going to go that route. I was thinking about applying. I was I applied to some dental hygiene schools, but I felt like I was kind of wasting my bachelor's degree on going and getting like my associate's degree, which I at this point completely do not think that dental hygiene school like wasting my bachelor's degree. I
Mm-hmm.
think going to dental hygiene school is a great financial decision.
Yeah,
It's an associate's degree and they get paid a good amount of money. So if
yeah,
you are thinking like a medical program for a low cost, definitely hyping that up still. So
yeah. I
I
did know a girl that went to Pacific, I think, and she
hmm.
earned that. And I remember following her in high school, and I'm like, wait, what the heck? Like, how did she graduate so fast? And she's already working on patients. I was like, what?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
at that point, I didn't have like great decision making, I guess. So I went and worked. I took a gap year and I worked full time. And I ended up working in a pharmacy and they were like, "What are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do." And I told them about dental school and they're like, "You should become a pharmacist." And so then, I applied to pharmacy school and I obviously liked my gap year working in the pharmacy, so I didn't just out on a limb just apply to pharmacy school, but I applied to two and got into ours and honestly,
Woohoo.
yep, haven't looked back. I made one of my best BFFs ever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my journey.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
What's
And
your journey?
well, I feel like chose the pharmacy route pretty early on. It was probably like in high school, when like they constantly ask you that question, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it like constantly changed until like
Hmm.
I had to start applying for colleges. And what I was like really looking for was like a college that had like a graduate program, so I didn't really have to transfer, apply to different. But um, like I had family that would like take lots of medications, and I on myself, like I was in gymnastics and would take lots of medications, and I was like, okay, like I'm taking this medication, but how does it like work when it gets into my body? Like I'm taking ibuprofen, like how does it know that the pain's in my ankle? And so like
Yeah.
those kind of questions kind of like sparked my interest in pharmacy. And then like I like creating stuff um like making like lip glosses and stuff. So like I at first really wanted to be like a cosmetic chemist, so like mixing those kind of things, like creative side of wanting to be a cosmetic chemist and like wanting to know how medicine works, like it just combined those two and I chose pharmacy.
Honestly, I still think that you should take the cosmetic chemist route
I know, but the thing is like where when I think about where I want to end up, like there's no jobs.
financially. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like with our financial goals and everything.
Hmm.
But there's always a chance you could make your own goals. You
Yeah.
could make your own business.
Yeah, we're still young, so I mean, I could still explore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm in my rotation right now. We're working with independent pharmacies, and we just got another independent pharmacy on board, and their aesthetic is so like clean girl aesthetic,
Oh
beauty
my.
aesthetic. And it's like a pharmacy ran by these two women. And
Stop.
oh my
This is
goodness,
us. We need
they
a
literally have like makeup, a makeup section in there that
what?
looks like a little mini Sephora. Then they have their vitamins and minerals, and then they have their obviously their prescription counter. But
Oh my god.
Kira, I'm telling you,
We need to interview with them.
literally,
Yeah.
we need
Are
to
they
get
in?
them.
I mean, sorry.
No, they're in.
Oh, okay. Okay. Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, but it just seeing that, it made me think that honestly, you can take pharmacy anywhere. Like you don't
Yeah.
just have to do the traditional roles of like being the first face at the counter in the grocery store or working in the hospital. Like there's so many different roles that a pharmacist can have. And honestly, that's another reason why I've grown to love pharmacy so much.
Yes. Which I didn't know about. When I joined pharmacy, I truly thought it was you only had two options, like community retail pharmacist and hospital pharmacist.
Literally. Yeah,
And then
that's also what I thought.
yeah, and then you come here and like you learn you can specialize in cardiac, neuro, like surgery, and I'm like, what? I didn't know you could do
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like my rotation that's starting in 3 weeks is for transplant. Like they have
Yeah,
a whole pharmacist in there to help with transplant medications.
yeah, that's just crazy, and that's amazing
Yeah,
actually. Like how our role as pharmacists are evolving.
yeah,
Yeah, but that's so interesting about the people, those two ladies working at that pharmacist. I mean,
yeah,
pharmacy.
yeah. It's cool. I mean, like their like logos cute and
Mhm.
everything. And I'm kind of like hyping up independent pharmacies right now. That's like what I'm into, but
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm into that too. I love independent pharmacies. I always see TikToks of those. Also, talking about that, there's this TikToker I follow, and he's a pharmacist and he works at L'Oreal.
What?
Yeah, and it's not like that he like works with makeup. They L'Oreal has a whole like diabetic line. So what he does is like he educates people on like skincare, especially like moisturizers and stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, I should totally do it.
Honestly, I mean, you were talking about how there's like not a lot of roles for like cosmetic chemists and things like
Mhm.
that. I mean, I feel like once you get into L'Oreal, that's how you like make your stepping stone into like how you create your position.
Let me see if
So,
I can get a
sponsor
rotation.
us, sponsor us, L'Oreal. Kira wants a job there,
I do.
maybe cosmetic chemist. So,
Yeah.
okay, tell me about your application process. Did
Oh
you
my,
have like, was it streamlined or did you like go through the application website? Is that still called Farmcast?
oh my gosh, yes, Farmcast. Uh,
Okay.
I think yeah, I applied through Farmcast, and I want to say I started on my application process like a year and a half before pharmacy school started.
Uh-huh.
So what is that? So for our pharmacy school started in September. And then when was interviews? It was like that November the year before, right?
Yeah. Mine
Yeah.
was like one of the latest interviews, and I want to say it was like late November, early December.
Yeah. So it's like a whole year in advance that you need to like start thinking and preparing for applications. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, that's like, I was kind of wondering, I actually didn't know what your process was for your application because I know that some of the students were on like that streamlined process
Oh, I
where
know what you're talking about now. Like
they like got
early admission.
accepted.
Yes. So the school that we go to, if you do undergrad there, there's this thing called early acceptance program, something like that, right?
Hmm.
And then like you have to meet certain GPAs and volunteer hours and stuff to get into this program. But no, I did not do that.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't do that either. As I said, I submitted my application like pretty late and was
Mhm.
in one of the later interview like cohorts, but my application, it was definitely really time consuming because that website is just kind of time consuming and hard to navigate. And
Yes.
then especially getting like, what is it called? Recommenders
Yes.
or
Letter of Rex.
like letter of recs and like people to get on to the website and navigate using it. That was, I think, probably the most stressful part of it.
Yes, I truly don't even remember. Like, I swear I asked people to send it via email. I don't remember. Like, maybe I just gave them an email to send the letter of rec to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I think you ask for their email. So like for example, if you have a pharmacist that's going to write you a letter of rec, you get their
Mm-hmm.
email and then you type their email into Farmcast and then I guess it sends all of the links and stuff for them to complete the letter
Yeah.
of recommendation.
Yeah. So for sure, learn that process on how to do letter of recommendations because that part is crucial, I feel, for the
And
app.
then make sure that like this is what a gap year is good for. Like or is even during your undergrad, just make sure that you have people that will write you letter of recommendations. Good letter of recommendations.
Yeah, like if you kind of know early on that pharmacy is what you want, like get into apply to any pharmacy job. Seriously, like you don't even have to be a tech at first because you can
Yeah.
work as a cashier and the people there will help guide you on how to get your tech license
Yeah.
and build those relationships to get recs.
And like honestly, that's something that a lot of people don't know is that you can just apply to work in a pharmacy and you can be a cashier initially and
Yeah,
then they'll help you get your tech license.
yeah.
Like people are like, "Oh, do you need to go to school?" And I'm
Hmm.
like, "No, do not pay to go to school.
Yeah,
Just
don't waste money until you know for sure like pharmacy is an industry that you can handle.
yeah." And this is specifically for pharmacy technician license. Not
Yes.
talking about a pharmacist.
Yeah, not pharmacist. Like, that's where we started. Was like I started as like a cashier. Like I couldn't even touch the screen.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I remember like applying for my first pharmacy job. My mom was like, "You're not gonna get it, Carol. You don't have any experience." And I proved her wrong. And like went and applied to this independent pharmacy and got the job. And I was just a little cashier, and it was fun because I got to see everything, but the pressure of doing things wasn't there. So
Well, look at you now. You
I know.
proved
Look
her
at us
wrong.
now. Look at both of us.
We're gonna be pharmacists.
I know. Do we want to get into like our personal statements?
Oh gosh, I don't even know my personal statement.
I know. What do you have a tip? Tips?
Like tips for personal statements?
Yeah.
Definitely don't lie on your personal
Oh,
statements.
100%.
Don't make up a story.
Yeah. But also like be creative in your opening sentence. Like
Yeah,
there you have to think about it. Like they're reading like probably thousands of applicants
yeah.
and you just want those first words to really capture their attention. If I'm remembering, I was like, I had said like, oh, I mixed the ink of a red marker and glue and made bubblegum syrup, which was like amoxicillin.
Bro.
It was supposed to like represent amoxicillin. Me and my cousins, we used to play like doctor
Oh,
when we were younger, and like that was like I used that experience as my opening statement for my personal statement.
that's that's nice.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
I think I like really hit on like my just like my background and like where I came from and
Mhm.
like I knew I always wanted to go into the medical field. Um, but I kind of just like hit on that idea of like not having much access to medical care during like my
Mhm.
childhood kind of expanded on that and that's I think what the majority of my personal statement was.
Yeah.
But I think I like your intro a little bit more.
Oh no.
Yours is funnier.
But let's
Mine
see,
is
like,
they're like crying reading mine. They're like, "Oh my gosh, what
see,
happened
but
to this
there's
girl?"
like different ways to capture people's attention in a personal statement, either by pulling on their heartstrings or making them laugh.
Yeah, honestly, I think I like that one. I think making them laugh. Okay, but you can make them laugh and then pull up
And
the
then cry.
heartstrings.
Yeah,
But did you like do any practice interviews?
for
And then also, where were your interviews? Were they on Zoom?
yes, all of mine were on Zoom because mind you, we are still in COVID. But
Yeah.
honestly, thank God. Like, because thinking about paying for fees during like undergrad year, during finals week, just to go do interviews,
Yeah.
kind of would be insane.
Yeah, mine were, I mean, obviously we're in the same year of pharmacy school, so mine were
Mm-hmm.
also on Zoom.
Yeah.
But it was like I'm reading all these like recommendations and requirements for Zoom like interviews. It's like make sure you have a white background
What?
and make sure there's nobody else in the room. It needs to be completely silent. And it's
Oh
just
my
like
goodness.
that was so hard, honestly.
Yeah.
Like when you have roommates, that is such a hard thing to
Yeah,
do.
or
And you
like if
can't,
you were living at home, like what the heck?
yeah. Yeah, so honestly, I mean, for like the next interviews that I think we'll probably have are going to be like our residency interviews. And I'm
Hmm.
like kind of excited that they'll be in person so I don't have to like stress about
Yeah.
everything at home.
But then there's like new stressors, like finding the place, making sure your outfit looks good.
I know. Yeah. And
um,
like making sure you're there on time.
yeah, all of the external stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to go back for in-person interviews. I feel like our personalities is meant to be for in-person interviews.
I know. Like I don't present well over camera. Like I think I'm more personable like in person
Oh yeah.
versus like my personality it can't be expressed over the camera very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, how did you prepare for those interviews though?
I pretty much just went on like Google and I Googled like every single interview question
Oh yeah.
and I wrote out an answer for like all of them. And
Seriously.
then I just sat down and just practiced interviews with myself pretty much.
Yes, like I kind of like went through those answers that I wrote down and like repeated it 100 times. Like I was
Hmm.
driving home from work, I would talk to myself and repeat it. And then
Yeah,
like they say though, like don't sound so scripted.
I know.
So then it's like a couple days before the interview, you're trying to like make it sound more natural.
I think it's just good having those examples on deck.
Yeah.
Like they could ask you like literally any number of questions and
Yeah.
rephrase it anyway, but just being able to have that example to like pull out of your pocket and not just be like, "Oh no, I don't know what I'm gonna say."
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I focused on like five main questions and then like made like elaborate answers for those and then all other questions I just like jotted down a few things. And I think that
Yeah.
it's like I feel like tell me about yourself, strengths and weakness. Like those are top questions that you should like always have ready.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah,
It,
I think our time is honestly coming to a close right now.
yeah, we did good. We did good for our first podcast.
Yeah, so join us here next week. Our second episode is going to be on what, Kira?
What's in our appy bag? I'm
Okay,
excited for that.
I am too. But thank you for joining.
And see you guys next time.
See you guys next time.